everybody, RetroVival here, and it is finally time. 2 days ago, my Switch 2 arrived, and I have spent the past 48 hours playing it on and off. I want to share my first impressions of the system, some of my favourite things so far, and just a few criticisms too. So let's just get this out of the way. Much like the PS5 and Series X, this doesn't feel like a massive leap in terms of change, and what I mean by that is all three systems just feel like big improvements and continuations of their predecessor rather than a whole new world. The Switch felt like this massive big deal and a big risk for Nintendo, and really a game changer for the games industry, but this feels much more like an improvement, rather than leaping into a whole different generation. But despite that, it really feels fantastic. The console itself looks and feels much more comfortable to hold. The screen, despite not being an OLED, still looks fantastic and everything really pops on it, and it just looks super clear. It feels like a much more premium and sturdy device to the original Switch. The Joy-Cons are really easy to detach and reattach, and they feel great to use in handheld mode, and that's coming from someone who used the Switch docked 95% of the time. The dock feels way more sturdy and not nearly as flimsy as the original, but my one criticism of the dock is that when the Switch is sat in it, there's a bit too much wobble room from left to right when it's in it. But other than that, everything feels like a massive improvement from the Switch 1, which is great. So first things first, I transferred over my data from the original Switch, and it was a pretty easy process. But the only tip I would give you is if it asks you to attach an AC adapter to the Switch 1, it's actually referring to the plug from your dock and not just your average USB-C charger. It will keep that message on screen until you plug the correct adapter in. Once that was done, everything was transferred and it began updating. I like the subtle changes to the UI, like the kind of chromatic overlay that circles around your currently selected tab on the home screen. I nervously opened up the Eshop to see if it was still like a desolate wasteland, and I can thankfully confirm Nintendo has made massive improvements for it for the Switch 2. Most notably of all is the fact that it actually functions. It's great. So the interface moves with no lag and the pages actually load up really rapidly, and it even cycles through screenshots and will play trailers from the store page while hovering over each game. There's no Wii eShop music, which I'm deeply saddened by, but it's a really welcome improvement from the Switch 1. I haven't had a chance to mess around with game chat yet, but I'm going to give that a go once I can. So I wanted to give this part its own section because I feel like it is one of the most important parts of the Switch 2's launch, and Mario Kart as well. The Switch 2's price, I feel like, is a pretty fair reflection on what you're getting. It's a pretty premium feeling console, the screen looks amazing, there's a massive performance boost from the original Switch. So I feel like comparing it to the Steam Deck and other devices as well around that price range, it is pretty accurate. What's not accurate is the price of Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World is not a $90 game, it should not be a $90 game, and I would argue that it would be very hard for any game to be considered a $90 game unless you were getting a bunch of additional stuff on top of it. If Nintendo had come out and claimed that when you buy Mario Kart World for $90 or €90 or whatever you're paying, you're getting all future DLC for free, then that's a bit more of a reasonable approach to it, I suppose. But we don't know any of that stuff yet. We don't know if there's going to be DLC for this game, we don't know what they're going to be doing. $90 is simply not worth it for what you're getting in the product. It is a fantastic game, as you will hear me talk about in a bit, but it is not worth $90, and I really hope it's not a trend that Nintendo continues to follow. I know they have increased the games on the Switch 2 significantly, but 90 is absolutely pushing it, and I think it's not a trend I want to see continue. I know there's rumours of GTA 6 apparently being a $100 game or €100 game or whatever else. That's pushing it as it is, but for what's offered in Mario Kart World, it's a really fun game. There's some cool new modes with Knockout Mode and the free roam, but those two do not justify in the slightest that price tag. I claimed my free copies of the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 upgrades through the Switch 2 online expansion, and straight away jumped back into Breath of the Wild. Both games have seen massive performance improvements, with 60 FPS at 1080p with HDR. All of these along with the new Zelda Notes app, that adds its own achievements to the game along with a voiced guide to help you navigate the world, points of interest that you can visit to get new lines of dialogue from Zelda, and even the ability to transfer items from your own inventory to your friends to help them out on their adventure. But the main upgrade for me was the ability to start a brand new save with a new additional save slot. I love this because I did not want to delete my original 2017 save, so for the first time since then I've actually been able to start a proper non-master mode playthrough of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. As someone who put over 200 hours into Breath of the Wild, the improvements in this upgrade are fantastic and have only improved an already amazing game. The frame rate makes the game feel incredibly smooth to play, and I've found myself being able to land things like parrying a bit easier than before. Maybe it's completely unrelated, but I just suddenly stopped being crap at it, and it feels really great. Visually, the game is stunning, with the render distance really making the distant Hyrule Castle and Death Mountain pop despite being miles away. The game also doesn't look as washed out as it used to, with colours popping way more regardless if HDR is on or off. I've been really enjoying revisiting Hyrule, and I think I actually might stick around with this playthrough and finally go through the game fully all over again. So I've messed around a little bit with the GameCube Nintendo Classics emulator, and it runs pretty well. I got absolutely battered at F-Zero, managed to win a fight by the skin of my teeth as Link in Soul Calibur, and I captured the 3 pigs on Offset Island while I struggled with the camera and wished we had the Wii U version of Wind Waker. There's only 3 games so far, but I'm really hoping with PlayStation adding a good few licensed games to their PS1 and PS2 classics on PS5, that we might actually see some fun ones from our childhood get added in, obviously along with some more great first party and third party games as well. So if F-Zero was anything to go by, it's safe to assume I'm bloody terrible at Mario Kart. But I'm trying, and honestly I'm having an absolute blast with Mario Kart World. The open world, honestly, is very simple, but it's fun to race around and explore, but just only go in expecting to have some fun challenges and some free roam driving with your friends and you'll be grand. It's nothing really deeper than that. Grand Prix is as great as usual, but Knockout Mode really is the star of the show for this iteration of Mario Kart. It's really fun and can actually be quite intense if you get hit by items near the end of the finish line. You race from course to course with players being eliminated at the end of each one, but once that course is done, you don't stop racing, you keep the foot down and race to the next course. There's no stopping until the end. It's all gas, no brakes. Worlds now see the addition of rail grinding and wall riding, which can really diversify the tracks if you're able to pull them off at the right times. It's really satisfying once you get it down, and you can actually just pinball from one section to the other. There's always a big selection of characters to unlock too, and I've only gotten a few so far, but my favourites, as always, are Luigi and Donkey Kong. The game looks really pretty, which just makes exploring in free roam and taking photos in photo mode so much better. Despite not being the best at Mario Kart, I'm having an absolute blast, and I'm looking forward to sinking more time into it, and hopefully getting a few races in with friends as well. So next up on the release schedule we have Donkey Kong Bananza, which I believe is coming on July 17th or something close to that, and it's super soon. When this got shown off, I was expecting it to be a fall release, so I was delighted to see it coming so soon after launch. We've also got cross-gen releases coming with Pokemon Legends ZA and Metroid Prime 4, but I think we'll probably hear from Nintendo sometime soon about some more Switch 2 exclusives coming sometime this year, with others like Kirby Air Riders coming in 2026. All in all, I'm really excited for the Switch 2. It is truthfully more of the same, but it is running and looking a hell of a lot better. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are ones I really want to pick up again in the future just to test out, because it's one of the biggest improvements I've seen on the console so far. That game went from pure jank to actually looking like a fun time. Anyway guys, those are just some of my initial thoughts on the Switch 2 so far. Have you picked up your one yet, or are you waiting for later on? Or maybe you're just happy with your existing Switch, Steam Deck, ROG Alloy, or whatever else. Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Take care.